What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Bay Area Babylon. My name is Lucky, your tour guide to the other side, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Los Altos, California. We're inside this tiny garage, one of the most iconic tech companies in the world, sparked to life. That's right, today we're visiting the infamous garage of the Apple computers. Now, this unassuming ranch-style house is the holy grail to where the Apple computer was first created, courtesy of the dynamic duo, Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. And while Wozniak was creating the hardware for the computers, it was Steve Jobs, the man whose family owned this house, who took care of the marketing and the sales. And it was also Steve Jobs who also had the grand vision of where technology was going to go. But before we dive into the tech revolution, let's talk about Steve Jobs and his mischievous side. Growing up, Jobs pulled off pranks that included holding an unofficial bring-your-own-pet-to-school day, setting off firecrackers under the teacher's desk, always a classic, and to top things off, when both he and Wozniak were attending Homestead High just a few miles down the road, the two thought it would be funny to paint a gigantic hand on a big white bedsheet giving the middle finger salute to the graduating class. Then during that year's graduation ceremony, the two Steves, they unraveled the banner and dropped it down just as the graduating class was crossing the stage getting their diplomas. And that was certainly a graduation no one would ever forget. And did you hear about the time the two Steves hacked into the phone system using a blue box back in the 70s and actually called the Vatican? So apparently you hooked the blue box up to the telephone line and would allow you to make free calls. So back in the 70s, the two Steves got together and thought it would be funny to call the Vatican and get the Pope on the line, with Steve Wozniak posing as Harry Kissinger. Now, the bishop on the other side over in Rome, he finally caught on after hearing Jobs and Wozniak laughing in the background, and that was the end of the prank. But not everything was fun and games for the two Steves. After high school, Steve Jobs attended Reed College up in Oregon, but dropped out only after one semester because he couldn't justify the high cost. But do you really think that stopped Steve Jobs from attending class? Hell no. He went anyway, free of charge. And it's a good thing too, because one of the classes he happened to attend was a calligraphy course taught by a Catholic monk named Robert Palladino. Little did Jobs know that this calligraphy course would later inspire the fonts on the Mac computer. The more you know, right? So let's take a trip back to 1974, where Steve Jobs took a self-discovering trip to India, which happened to involve a fair amount of LSD. And it was these mind-bending, weird experiences with psychedelics that opened a doorway inside Steve Jobs' mind that allowed him to see the bigger picture of life. Now, Jobs later credited his LSD experience as one of the most important things he's ever done in his life, and his commitment to innovation over the almighty dollar. Jobs is quoted as saying, "It reinforced my sense of what was important, creating great things instead of making money, putting things back into the stream of history, of human consciousness, as much as I could, and trying to make things right." And when Jobs returned back to Los Altos, he was fueled with ideas and probably a touch of lingering psychedelia. He teamed up with Wozniak and embarked on a mission to make computers for affordable Joe Schmo here. And after a series of misfires and fails, they finally hit the jackpot, right here when they made the very first Apple computer. From these humble beginnings right here on Crist Drive, Apple Inc. went on to reshape the tech landscape with Macs, iPods, iPads, and all the other stuff. You know how much stuff is out there that Apple produces. But sadly, Steve Jobs passed away on October 5th, 2011. But his visionary leadership and commitment to excellence will continue to inspire the generations to come. And it's his remarkable journey, Steve Jobs, that changed not only the face of technology and the way we live, work, and communicate, but he also changed the mindset and the innovation. Now, while some say that Steve Jobs' LSD adventures might have cost him a few brain cells, there are others that say that this not only helped open doorways inside of his mind and to help him think differently, but it also helped him settle with a mindset of not being afraid to challenge society's norms. Now remember, every great journey begins with a single step, and it was right here inside this tiny garage where the seeds of Apple computers were first sown. Thanks so much for joining us here on Bay Area Babylon. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We'll see you at the next spot. Want to know more about the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Jobs? If so, don't waste any time and get out and pick up a copy of Walter Isaacson's authorized biography, appropriately titled Steve Jobs. This book is a roller coaster of innovation, temper tantrums, and black turtleneck. It's like the tech world's version of a soap opera. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but move over, Kardashians, because if Steve Jobs would have had a dozen cameras following him around during his drama as he encountered taking Apple back to its heights, he would have been the most entertaining thing on television, hands down. Isaacson takes us on a journey through the life of the man who gave us the iPhone, the MacBook, and the newfound appreciation for minimalism. However, it's not all sleek design and revolutionary gadgets. Jobs had a painful past and experienced trauma growing up, and this book doesn't hold back in touching on it all. This book unveils his Jobs' infamous perfectionism. And let me tell you, if I had a nickel for every time he threw a tantrum about the curvature of a corner of a Macintosh, I could probably afford the latest iPhone. Isaacson describes Jobs as a man who could turn a simple product launch into a Shakespearean drama, complete with epic monologues, angry tempers, and the occasional projectile fruit throwing. But it's not just Jobs' quirks and quips that make this book entertaining. It gives the dirt on the rocky relationships that Steve Jobs had with other tech giants, specifically Bill Gates. And their feud reads kind of like a rap battle, but instead of having diss tracks, they exchange passive-aggressive emails and memos. I half expected them to settle their differences with a dance-off at the next Silicon Valley mixer. Isaacson paints Jobs as a visionary with a touch of mad genius, and I couldn't help to imagine him as a Silicon Valley superhero swooping in to save the day with a sleek aluminum cape from the future. Maybe he could have used that reality distortion field to solve some global issues too, like world peace, or the eternal debate whether pineapples should or shouldn't go on pizza. What sets this biography apart is its unflinching honesty. Isaacson doesn't shy away from Jobs' flaws, presenting a warts and all description of the man whose brilliance was matched only by his intensity. And from his early days in the Apple garage with Steve Wozniak to the triumphant return to Apple, this narrative is punctuated with anecdotes that reveal Jobs' complexity, a man capable of both brilliance and brusqueness. But this book is more than a biography. It's a lesson in innovation, resilience, and the price of pushing boundaries. Isaacson's clever writing elevates this work beyond a mere tech chronicle, making it an engaging and thought-provoking exploration of the man who changed the way we interact with the world. Now, whether you're an Apple aficionado or just a casual reader, this book, Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson, is a must-reader for anyone curious about the man behind the iRevolution.